Welcome to Parc Ferm, the Canadian Formula One podcast. We talk race reviews, news from the paddock, and bring you everything from the world of Formula One. And now your hosts, Drew, Walker, Ed, and Tomas.
Welcome back, everybody, to Parc Ferm, the Canadian Formula One podcast. My name is Drew, and we got my boy Tomas here from the Lithuanian bunker. We are missing a few of our homeboys today, so we'll pour one out for the guys. But let's get right to it. Before we hit record, Tomas and I were briefly discussing what's going down in Las Vegas this weekend coming up, and I'm pretty excited about it. I don't know if I'm excited about it for the right reasons, but I'd love to hear your initial thoughts on what you think's going on and what you think may or may not happen in Las Vegas, Nevada this weekend for Formula One.
Man, this could be, I think, one of the greatest races of the season, or one of the absolute most chaotic shit show races of the season. And I'm leaning more towards the second part, just because of the brief history that happened in 82 and 83. It did not attract a lot of people, a lot of spectators. Obviously, a lot of time has passed. Maybe it's going to be something different, different layout, different vendors, and all that stuff. You know, different ownership, drivers, etc. I don't know how I feel. I'm excited, but I'm the same way. I'm not sure if I'm excited for the same reasons. Like we talked last episode, I think, like we all think, this is a huge cash grab from the American people. And I don't know if we're going to get the value per se like we get with the other tracks. So in a couple of days, time will tell, and we'll see how it went.
Well, there's a few major points, I think, for the Las Vegas Grand Prix that I want to bring up. And I think the first one is, you know, I've been hearing a lot of chatter online, other YouTube blogs, etc., and they're kind of comparing this Vegas race to Monaco, because like Monaco's been kind of up in the air in the last few years of whether or not they're going to continue to race there. Obviously, the cars are radically different from when Formula One first started in the 50s, and like these cars just don't make a lot of sense there in Monaco anymore. And it's more of like a celebrity where all the money goes. It's like, it looks really cool. It's iconic. It's one of those kind of races where like the racing's not that great. It's more of like the show and the nostalgia and the history of what's going on with Formula One. And, you know, personally, I think that there's a changing of the guards. You know what I mean? Like where Monaco's kind of out, and I think they're, you know, Liberty Entertainment and Formula One are kind of looking for a replacement. And this is like, you know, now that Formula One's blown up in North America and United States specifically, there's a lot of celebrities. There's lots of money. Vegas has, you know, all the ballers go there, all the music art. Everybody wants to be in Vegas. And I don't know if any of them care a stitch about Formula One. I think they're all there because of the lights, the glam, and like, you know, it's the it spot. It's the place to be in mid-November. You know what I mean? So like, I think there's an aspect to that rings true. And I think that there's, you know, a few reasons why this isn't really a racer's race. This isn't about the sport of Formula One. This is more of the entertainment of Formula One. And that's the next point that I want to bring up. But, you know, first I want to hear your thoughts initially on like, you know, what you think Formula One is doing by putting a race here in Vegas. Like, I think anyone with a brain, off the top of my head, like anyone that with a brain is going to look at this and be like, okay, it's at night, it's cold, and like there's a lot of straights, and it's brand new asphalt. And like, it's kind of what I wanted to talk about later, but like realistically, like with all those new things, like this is going to be a wild race. Like it's going to be dangerous. Like you're going to, you know, you're going 200 and something miles an hour down a straight, and all of a sudden you have to hit the brakes hard. Like your tires are cold. It's brand new asphalt. So all the oils and stuff are kind of rising up. These guys are, and then all of a sudden, okay, now a safety car comes out. So now all the tires are cold again. And then you say, go. Like, not to mention, all of these racers have not been on this track. Like, this is not something that's, you know, been wildly experienced. And these guys have, you know, tons and tons of laps on. You know, I'm sure the sim has done probably a pretty decent job, but like there's a big gap between a simulator and the reality, right? So I guess my question is to you is like, what do you think the reason is that they're throwing this race in Las Vegas? Like, it's clearly not for the nostalgia factor. Like, do you think they're trying to replace Monaco?
So to begin, I'm gonna backtrack a little bit to what you said. That the whole point of Vegas race is more for entertainment value, and I agree with you. Like we spoke last episode, Miami versus Vegas. You know, it's the same shit. All the celebrities show up, and Miami and Vegas are the place to be. Going back to your point, it's going to be such an interesting race on so many levels. Some of them what you mentioned in regards to the temperature, the new track, new layout. The drivers don't have experience on the track besides the sim. I don't know what to expect. I think it's going to be a very, very interesting quali and practice sessions. They might tell us quite a bit what to look forward to the race. But going, I guess, to your original point, do I think this is going to replace, or is the race that's going to replace Monaco? I really hope not. I would like to consider myself as a purist or old school or whatever, and Monaco has that spot in history, and it might not make sense right now, but I would be torn if they remove Monaco and choose Vegas just for that reason. Yeah, sure, like you said, it's not maybe the most interesting race to watch. There's not a lot of action a lot of the times that happens, but it's the whole, I guess, sentimental values there. It's been there since the beginning, and if they replace with something, as Vegas, which I think it's going to be pretty shitty right now, just from what I'm seeing, then no, I'm not looking forward, and I hope that doesn't happen.
Do you think it's tacky?
Elaborate. Like, what do you mean by do you think it's tacky?
Do you think the Las Vegas race? Do you think Las Vegas is like it's tacky? Like what they're doing with the sport and like kind of how they're Hollywoodizing, Formula One in terms of like taking away from the race being the main entertainment to it. They're just putting it in really popular US cities. They're making a track out of fucking nothing just to put eyeballs on Formula One as an idea. They're packing it with celebrities. And then catch this, dude. I don't know if you saw this, and I posted it in a couple of the socials for Parc Ferm. Let's plug that right now while we're here. Let's stop. Hold on a second. Parc Ferm, we got the Instagram, we got the social media, we got everything. Hit up the Discord channel, we got the YouTube. Please take a moment. Like, subscribe, do all that stuff. Leave us 5-star review. Do all the comments. You know the drill. If you want to hear more of this, we want to keep putting it out for you, but we need some feedback. We need to know what's going on. So hit us up. We appreciate it. Back to your regular scheduled programming. Do you think that that what they're doing is cheesy? Maybe tacky wasn't the word. Is cheesy the word? Like, do you think that like, having Donny Osmond do the opening US anthem, like Donny Osmond was popular in like the 60s, dude. Like who, like, I guess he is kind of like iconic in Vegas, but like they're moving away from Formula One being a racing sport into it just being theatrics. We saw it in Miami with LL Cool J, and like, yo, I love LL. You know what I mean? The guy's OG from the real, but like, I don't know if what they're doing speaks to the purity of it. Cause like, like we've seen before in other sports and other entertainment, like WWE, like there's fads, you know what I mean? Like there's times that like UFC got super popular, and then World Poker Tour got really popular, and then the NBA was killing it when Jordan was. Every sport has their times and their moments. And like, do you think this is like a moment in Formula One history?
First of all, it's 1,000% tacky and cheesy what they're doing to Vegas. Miami spoke to me like that as well. It's like, it was interesting to see that in Miami, but again, the whole celebrities and everything. Again, what we all been talking about. I get it, entertainment. You get these celebrities bring in people, bring in the crowd, and all that stuff. Bring in, I guess, the value or the money, but yeah, it's cheesy and choosing cities like that. I mean, I get it. Their whole point was back in '82 and '83 why they did it at Vegas. They didn't expect to capitalize on the race itself with attendees. They expected all these drivers. I'm not sure if you know this, but basically they expected all these drivers to go after the race and to go spend their money in casinos and profit off that, which that didn't work out, and all the drivers hated it. I don't know if that's the same goal, I guess, this time around, which is probably not, but it doesn't make sense. I don't like it. I don't like the Vegas ideas. I'm not saying it's not interesting. It's definitely going to be interesting to see what it has to offer, but I don't like it. Do I think this is the fad or how did you put it? Like the big moment of F1 bring in the Vegas? Yeah, it definitely got some attention. Even I know the non F1 fans are talking about it. So yeah, it brought itself attention for sure. Do I think it's going to stick around? I don't know. I guess we'll see after this race. I don't know if you know, did they make any extensions for next year or the year after that?
Thomas, I love you. You stole the words right out of, because that was my next question is like, okay, so I don't know. That's a great question. I don't know if like F1 and Liberty Entertainment has signed any contracts for any sort of extensions or like number of years. I think they were scrambling just to get this one done. You know what I mean? Like I can promise you right now, as like a few days before the race, these guys are still doing things. They're making the paddock. They're doing all that. It's going, but it's not 100. You know what I mean? So like, the hotels are scrambling. Everyone's scrambling right now. And I think they were wildly ill prepared for this. Just from what I've seen, I'm obviously not like, I don't have boots on the ground in Vegas, but from what I've seen and heard from people that have just recently been in Vegas, this is not a well-oiled machine. And I don't fault them for that because this is the first time, obviously, since the 80s when it was hosted there, but it wasn't hosted up the strip. Like this was like a separate track, like off the strip in the fucking desert. You know what I mean? So it looks wildly different now. And I just think that, it's, in my opinion, if this was me and I was part of Formula One at FIA, we've already gone down this rabbit hole too far. I'm not canceling the race. It can't happen unless it's a wild safety concern for the boys. I don't think that canceling the races would make any economic sense. I read an article that it's supposed to, in theory, bring $1.3 billion into Las Vegas. That's a lot of money, bro. Like we're talking B's, not M's. You know what I mean? Like that's a lot of money. So I can understand from the economic standpoint that the city, recovering from COVID, people are trying to just get back to Vegas and like it's starting to pop off again. To bring something like this is a great idea. And like having that, that sphere thing that they have there, like they're trying to make Vegas exciting again. Cause like Vegas was Vegas for a long time. And not that it's not exciting, but like it wasn't new and different. And so they've added something that's so attractive and so new that like they've brought a whole new generation and a whole new audience of people to Vegas. And there's a lot of people from the UK and Europe, like where a large fan base of Formula One are now going to have their eyeballs on Las Vegas, which may have never come across their radar in terms of like, hey, honey, let's go on a vacation. Let's go to Vegas. It may never have been in their wheelhouse because they just had no exposure to it, right? And so they're exposing Las Vegas to a whole new audience. And I think a very similar thing with Miami, right? I know a lot of the Caribbean countries are on their radar in terms of going on vacation, but like, this is what it's all about. Like there's a bigger play to all this kind of stuff. You know what I mean? And like economics have to definitely come into it. And I think that's where I'm struggling is because like, this is still a sport. Like, I don't think that, the NHL and the NBA and the MLB go to like, okay, let's go to Saskatchewan because we think Saskatchewan needs a boost. So like, let's put an NFL or an NBA team. Do you know what I mean? So like, why do this in Formula One, right? And so there's a big piece of what Liberty Entertainment is that is making these decisions based on more than just the racing and the purists of Formula One.
I agree. At the same time, when you were speaking about this, I think maybe there's a secret play behind. Maybe Liberty Media and City of Miami or City of Vegas decide to do a deal. You advertise for us, we'll give you some sort of a hookup or something as well in regards to that. I think that might be also a possibility that we don't know. For regards to exposure, it definitely got exposure, like I said, especially the Vegas GP. Quite a few people, at my work or even some of my friends are not F1 fans. They're even talking about it. They're asking me like, "Oh, Vegas F1, is this new? We never heard this before." And it's interesting and it's entertaining to see that it grabbed people's attention, whether you're an F1 fan or not. That's one big positive that I see, and I hope more people are going to, per se, come to our side and give the sport a chance, because some people are still like, oh, it's just a bunch of cars going around the track. Well, same thing with NASCAR, same thing with basketball. Guys are just going back and forth shooting a ball. It's all sports are more or less the same, as just what you like more, right? So we'll see, man. I hope it's gonna come on top, but expectations are not very high with this one for me.
Let me pose you a question then. So, what would have to happen in Las Vegas for you to not want to see this race again? And then on the opposite side of that coin, what kind of results coming out of this weekend would you have to see in order for you to want to see this race here again?
Good question. To not want to see this race again, I'm basically already at this point, just from, and again, I get it, this is all new, just how they're scrambling, and it's such a shit show to begin with, right? It's nothing from what I heard, from what I've seen. It plus the strike with the
hotel and restaurant guys.
Yeah, exactly. With them, that definitely put a little bit, pump the brakes on that as well, because it started with a bad start. It's still, like you said, slow, and they're still putting up shit, and it could have been planned a little bit better. So if this does happen again, I would want, or it would be nice to see some more structure, I guess. I get it, not everything was in their hands of power, but what would have to happen in order for me to see this race again, or for me to want to see this race again in Vegas? That's another good question. I don't know. I want an interesting race. I want a variety of podium of teams on the podium. I want some competition, and I don't know if this is going to give it to us, because again, huge straight, and we all know who's amazing at straights, right? That's Red Bull and Mr. Max Verstappen. So I don't know.
But then let me ask you this then, then you have teams like Williams and like Haas that are fantastically fast in the straight line, and then you have teams like Mercedes and McLaren that are much better at the slow medium speed corners. Do you think this is an opportunity for some of those bottom end teams to kind of figure it out a little bit and jump up in the order? Do you think this will provide an opportunity for things to be a little different for the first time? Or do you think this is going to be par for the course, Max win, this is what's going to happen? I think, from my perspective, I think there's so many variables in this race, more than any other, just because there's no data.
Yeah.
And by them not having data, Red Bull they have a car advantage, but they have no past here, history advantage, which is huge when it comes to motorsports.
I would like to see, Haas and these other teams, Williams do well, but I'm still pretty much set on Red Bull, just because the car advantage is there. The driver Max, we all seen what he can do. I don't think other teams stand a chance. I think he's going to finish first. Now, if he doesn't finish first, if there's an accident or a failure or something, then it gets really, really interesting, because then, in my eyes, the playing field is level, because you take out the best driver and then you have 19 other good drivers, really, really good drivers, but that's when things would get interesting. But right now, I'm still set on Max. He's going to win. He's going to have that speed, and he has the skill, obviously. So, yeah.
Do you think this is that opportunity for that very first straightaway going into the very first corner? All the guys are coming in cooking. No one's got hot tires. Nobody's got any grip. You got an oily, brand new track that's not made for racing, that is a street course. So the tarmac or the concrete or whatever they've put down in terms of the surface is geared towards using it as a road on the normal day-to-day. So it's a very specific compound that they're using. Do you think that this is that time where, going into the first corner, Max just gets taken out by somebody else behind him locking up? There's a big opportunity for the first 2 or 3 rows to make a mess out of this.
Oh yeah, and it's gonna go one of two ways. Either everyone is gonna go for that first corner and gonna try to, be first, second, third, and they're gonna go aggressive, or everyone is gonna be very, very cautious and gonna make sure no one gets hit because again, like you said, no data, but I don't know. It's gonna be very, very interesting to see where they are with their own pressure and how they're gonna react and how they're gonna go. Um, if Max is gonna be in the first or second row, then GG for him. He has to watch out for. Same with all the other drivers who are in the first, second, third row. If you're in the back of the grid, I think you're more safer in regards to maybe avoiding that possible accident if there is gonna be one. For the first couple rows, yeah, huge, huge. Caution. They need to pay huge attention in regards to that first corner, especially the first couple laps.
And this is where I circle back to that original comment I made that like I'm excited for this race and it might be for all the wrong reasons. Because like I'm excited, not that I want anyone to get in an accident and not that I want anyone to get hurt, but like there's a good possibility this is going to happen. This could be an absolute disaster. Like we should take bets right now. Friendly man-to-man bet, no money involved. Like, do you think a safety car is coming out in the first two laps? Yeah. That's a hard yes and a very fast yes. Do you think there's going to be, I agree. I think the first lap, there's going to be carnage. And I hope for all the guys' sake and the sake of the teams and the drivers and all the mechanics that there isn't. I just think that the cards, as far as the unpredictables land, like the weather is just not cooperating. And like, I don't know if anyone knew this because like you just assume Vegas, hot desert, but like, Vegas gets cold, bro. Like, we're not there in July, where I also don't think the race could happen because it would be too hot. You'd get 2 laps on hard tires and they would melt off the car. I've been to Vegas in the middle of end of June, early July, and my sandals, as I walk down the strip, my sandals are sticking to the tarmac like bubble gum, bro, because they're melting as you're walking down the strip, right? So like, could you imagine that in a Formula One car? But now this is going the opposite direction, the polar, all pun intended, the polar opposite, and now it's cold. Like they were predicting 2 degrees Celsius, which is about 37 degrees Fahrenheit. But it is going to be a little warmer. I think they're looking at like anywhere on the low end, like 8 or 9 degrees Celsius. But like as far as Formula One cars are concerned, that's cold.
Oh yeah,
real cold.
Yeah, 8 or 9, 7 degrees. I think that's when the rubber starts to change. That's when winter tires especially come into play. So that factor is going to make it very, very interesting. If it's again above 7, 8, 9, that's still cold. But if it drops below 7, man, GG. It's gonna. I really don't know what else to expect from the tires, from anything. It's gonna be trial and error. I think. I mean, the simulators, the data can only give you so much of the data that they do have, from the sims. But when you apply practice and real life are two different things. So we'll see on Sunday or Saturday exactly what happens.
And it's wild that it's Saturday because, like, for me, it's technically Sunday morning early. For you, it's Sunday morning normal time, right? Like, what's that? Like 8 o'clock your time?
8 a.m.
Yeah. So in Canada, Toronto, Eastern Standard Time, we got it at 1 a.m. Sunday morning. Technically, it's late Saturday night, whatever you want to call it, which would be 10 p.m. local time in Las Vegas. Which, brings another question out. Like, who are they really doing this race for? Obviously, like, if you're going to do a race in Vegas, you want the lights, you want the sounds, you want all that, you have to have that quote unquote iconic Vegas look and vibe where all the lights are flashing and like, it looks very Vegas-y. And, because they're doing the race at night, that to me just speaks volumes of what their real intention is, right? Their intention is to it's not about the racing. And that's kind of what I was alluding to at the beginning is like, you got it, baby. It's monies, bro. Give me that greenbacks, bro. Like that's the thing. And so like, that's cool because I like the cool factor. It's Vegas, it's new, it's flashy. I like all that stuff. For the same reasons that, some of us hate it, is that like it brings the attention, it brings the celebrities out. But like, you know what, on Saturday at 1 o'clock in the morning or Sunday at 1 o'clock in the morning, my time, I want to be entertained. You know what I mean? Like that's UFC fight night time. It's the same time. It's like that's prime time as far as television is concerned. And like, I want to be entertained, and that's all fun and good. But like, that to me is just signaling the real raw intention of this is that it has nothing to do with the actual racing. This is a money play, right? And like, are you like, what are your thoughts on that?
I agree, 100%. You know, it's an attention grab. That's all it is. The other thing that I kind of maybe random a little bit, what I wanted to touch upon with night races, especially with the Vegas races, that must be tough on the drivers too. You know, a lot of them are used to it like midday or early in the morning. This is a 10 o'clock at night race. You know, I don't know. For me, that would be tough. You know, waking up doing your whole prep work, you know, meetings in the morning, and then comes 10 o'clock. Damn, here you go, race for another, you know, hour and a half to 2.5 hours. So that's also a little bit of in my eyes, like extra stress for the drivers. You know, plus a new track. That's a whole nother level too. So,
and those boys got to play nicey nice while they're in Vegas, because when you're in Vegas, I can promise you from my experience that as soon as you get off that plane and you land in Vegas and you feel that vibe, that like energy that comes out of that Vegas strip, all you want to do is all the things those drivers aren't allowed to do, which is drink and eat and gamble and party and do all those fun things. And, you know, I'm sure all of those guys are going to be professionals. Good thing Kimi Räikkönen's not in the race. He would be absolutely drinking, gambling. He'd be doing it while he was driving. He wouldn't even care. But, you know, like, that's the thing. All those boys got to play nicey nice. They got to go to bed on time. They got to wake up. They got to eat. They got to do all the right things. And, like, Vegas is distracting. It's one of the main reasons why they never had professional sports teams in Vegas, is they were worried that all the athletes were going to just be absolute menaces, you know what I mean, during the off season and stuff. Because, like, Sin City, baby, you know what I mean? All your delinquent behaviors come right to the surface when you're in Vegas, you know what I mean? So,
that's right.
I'm very much looking forward to that. You know what? What are we running here? Okay, you know what? Any final thoughts? I'm excited about Vegas. What do you got, dude?
Excited for sure. I cannot wait to see whether it's going to be a shit show or an amazing race. I'm up for it. I'm going to be watching, and we'll see how it goes, man. I hope Max has like an engine failure and it levels out the playing field. That's my, you know, deep desire. That would be very fun. I don't want anyone to get hurt or anything, but an engine failure or a transmission failure, that would be nice. If he doesn't, I still predict that he's going to be the first one. If you want to do predictions, second, third, and fourth, maybe. Second, I don't know why, but I'm going to say Mr. Lewis Hamilton. Third, I'm going to say Lando. And fourth, Checo.
Okay. In that same race spirit, I will also do my predictions. First place, I'm going to give it to Max. Second place, I'm going to give it to Lando. Third place, I'm going to give it to Carlos Sainz. I think he's going to do it. Fourth, let's go back to, I think Checo's going to pull in there.
Yeah.
I think Checo's going to pull in there. I think he looked really nice. He looked really nice when we were in Brazil. So I'd love him to continue with that. And I think, unfortunately, it took him to the last 3 races to kind of pull his shit together. But you know what? Realistically, there's so many variables involved in this race that like our predictions could go wildly out the window on the first corner.
Oh, for sure.
You know what I mean? So like,
for sure,
I'm super looking forward to some of these 10 p.m. on Thursday night FP1. Like I'm watching FP1 on Thursday, and I'm sure you got it like Thursday afternoon.
Exactly.
Right? Which is wild, dude. So yeah, I'm very much looking forward to that. But I just want to thank you, Thomas, for joining me. I know we missed the other guys today. Our homeboy Ed and Walker are out doing whatever Ed and Walker do. But thank you guys for listening. This is Parc Ferm, the Canadian Formula One podcast. Like, subscribe, listen. Hit us up on Spotify, YouTube. You know where to hit it. Check out the Discord. Links are in the show notes. You know what to do.
Ferm, the Canadian Formula One podcast. We talk race reviews, news from the paddock, and bring you everything from the world of Formula One. And now your hosts, Drew, Walker, Ed, and Tomas.